Right, okay. So the New Forest, we're really lucky to have an amazing national park. It's, I think, just about the newest national park in the UK, 566 square kilometres. It is huge. 130 car parks, not all of them open at the moment. Some of them are actually closed at the moment because they don't want people walking all over the valuable habitat, particularly people with bicycles and dogs and so on. But amazing 15 million visitors to the New Forest every year. It's incredible how so many people can go to the forest and you can still walk through this place and see nobody if you pick the right place. So what are you going to look for? By the way, the habitat is half and half. It's half forest at the bottom and also half open heathland, fantastic heathland, some of the best heathland in southern England. Well, right now, cuckoos are all over the New Forest. They arrived not too long ago now. The males only stay until about the first week of June. They're really only here for 8 weeks. So they very much are an African bird that comes to Britain for 2 months. And the females will also be heading off not too long after that as well. So the cuckoos, they're all around. There are lots of them in the New Forest. You would be pretty unlucky if you went through the New Forest for a day and didn't hear cuckoo. It's got probably the densest population of cuckoos anywhere in Hampshire. So there's a cuckoo. Another star bird, though, and we have three key birds for which the New Forest is really notable for. First of all, as you can see, the Dartford warbler, which is on all of the open heaths. If you find any gorse, reasonable amount of gorse, you're going to find Dartford warblers. There's something like 700 or 800 pairs, I think, around the New Forest at the moment, the highest we've ever had, because of course we've had a run of mild winters and they do well. So they're on all the heaths. They're not difficult to find. Little churry sound they make, and along with a scratchy song. Woodlarks, again, we surveyed those last year, and we found that they were at the highest level ever as well. That's partly because there's been a lot of trees and bits of forest cut down by Forestry England, and so there are now open bits of forest where there used to be dense trees. Woodlarks you always find somewhere fairly close to the edge of woodland. They'll be out on the heath, but they'll be easily within 100 yards, 200 yards of forest, and or if there's a clump of forest in the middle of a heath, they'll go around that. What you don't find is you don't really find them in the really open heaths. I forget the number we found, but it was something in the region of 300 or so. It was really, really very, very good indeed. Nightjar. Well, they're not arriving just yet. I think they'll be here probably within a week. Nightjars, again, very widespread throughout the New Forest. I think the numbers recorded in the most recent survey showed a bit of a dip, but they are very, very hard to survey because, of course, you've got to go out at night. You've got to work out whether you're hearing the same bird over and over again. It's not easy. There's a photo of a bird in flight taking a flash as it was flying away. So you could probably go to almost any area of open heathland in the New Forest. Just sit there by the side of the road and listen, and you'll almost certainly hear a nightjar. But they don't call all night. They are going to churr around about, I guess, I just think, what time is it now? It's 7:30. They'll probably start churring about 8:30, 8:45, 9 o'clock, and they'll carry on until 10, and then that's it. They give up. But if you miss them, you can get up early as the sun is just coming up and they do churr again. By the way, just going back to the woodlark, woodlarks have two broods. So they've had the first brood already, and they were singing a lot in February because of that. They've been quiet the last month, and they're just about to get noisy again because they're about to have their second brood. So the male will re-establish his territory and let everybody know that that's his patch. Wood warbler, well, we're really unlucky with this one. This is a bird that we're losing, and it's not just us. Everybody in the UK is losing the wood warbler, certainly in southern England. We probably have about maybe five or between 5 and 10 pairs. That's all. Now, we don't publicise these on going birding. They do go on eBird, and I'm afraid we don't control eBird, so we can't stop that. But we try to avoid publicising them too much because they just get hounded, I'm afraid. So we're really keen to try and protect them. But news does filter out. I'd say Acres Down is a pretty good area. Boulderwood also is pretty good as well. We're going to be talking about those sites in a minute. Redstarts are just all over the place. I mean, there's probably 1,000 pairs of redstarts in the New Forest. It's the only place in Hampshire where they nest, and they really do nest in good numbers, amazing numbers. Honey buzzard, there's probably about 5 pairs of honey buzzards in the New Forest, although they're easily overlooked. This is a super rare migrant that comes up from Africa, like indeed some of these other birds like redstart. But this one is really low in numbers. There are probably 5 in the New Forest and probably 5 outside the New Forest in Hampshire, and they're very hard to find. But if you want to see one, then a good place to go and sit is just on the mound that's quite close to where pig bush is. And there's a pair that nest not too far from there in the woods, and they do fly backwards and forwards with wasp comb. They don't eat honey, and they're not a buzzard, so it's a daft name, but they do eat wasp comb. You can quite often miss them because they arrive right now, beginning of May. They then just seem to vanish. Nobody sees them at all really in June, and that's because the female's on the nest and the male is sitting next to her close by. But then as soon as the chicks hatch out in July, they're very late breeder, then they all start flying around getting wasp comb. So that's a good time to see them. And goshawk, this is a young goshawk. The adults have bars. This has got stripes, so this is a young bird. Well, we now have about 45 pairs of goshawks in the New Forest. It's a huge population. The population of Hampshire is probably well over 150 pairs now. So this is really the place where they are doing well, which is amazing, given that the first pair to nest was only in 2001. And the hobby, which again is just arriving in the last week or two. You've seen some photos up already. Super bird, mainly feeding on things like dragonflies, although sadly it does chase house martins too when they're around. And it's a tiny bird of prey. Now they don't do too well with goshawks. I'm afraid goshawks have been known to kill them. You may recall that when we had a camera up on a hobby nest, a female goshawk came and ate all the chicks in one sitting. So yeah, I'm afraid hobbies have been sort of forced out of some of the forest areas, and they're now much more nesting on the open heath, where goshawks are less likely to be. So you don't find them in the big pine woods. And similarly, goshawks are forced down the numbers of sparrowhawks too. They are a thug, I'm afraid, goshawks, and it's, people just move out. It's like having a family of drug dealers move into your road. Everybody moves off and goes somewhere else. Right, so let's talk about the places. I'm going to have this map up again and again, and what this shows you is the whole of the New Forest, which includes, of course, all the coastline around Keyhaven and that. I'm not going to talk about the coast. I'm just going to talk about the main New Forest sites that I like, and I can go through these again at the end. So Ashley Walk, it's up in the northwest of the forest. This is the area where a lot of people go for walks in winter and also in the summer, and you can see where it is on the map. If I show you that, you may recognize that if you've been there. There's the car park, Ashley Walk car park, and you just walk down and go up the hill the other side, and you're going to get into this area here. So if you can see on this map, you've got a couple of car parks there on that main road. Now, the one I would normally park at is the one that's the northern one there. And you walk down that track and it takes you to Pittswood. Pittswood is a nice wood to walk into. You can then, if you want, head out another way to the left or the right, or you can just go straight back. But you can see you could indeed very easily walk from one car park to the other if you had 2 cars. And of course, it's not too far between the 2 car parks. The southernmost car park there, just above the word Newgrounds, always has an ice cream van, which is worth knowing. Right, Fritham, not that far actually, a bit further to the east. Now, the thing about Fritham is it's the first place I ever went to in the New Forest in 1974. And I wasn't allowed to go. I was only 14, but I wasn't allowed to go into this pub. But the Royal Oak pub is a fabulous pub to meet up and have a drink in. And then you can set off from there in different directions across the heath. So you can go up here to Iworth Pond, which has got mandarin ducks on it. And in the winter, it has goosander. And if we look at the map, Fritham, you can see there in the right-hand side, you can see the pub marked. So you can just drive to that very easily, park in the car park near to where the pub is. It's pretty busy at the weekend, but you can always find somewhere to park. And then you can see you've got all kinds of options. So you can walk northwest from Fritham to Iworth Pond, which you can just see there. You could then carry on into Iworth Wood if you wanted, which goes further north. What I normally do is I actually go not to the pond, but I go across southwest across Fritham Plain. And you can do various ways. You can either go the one that goes directly west, or you can go southwest, or you can really do much more south and go towards Holly Hatch enclosure and Cabman's Pool. So if you did have two cars, you could easily park at Fritham, have a drink, do a walk, and then if you've got the other car at Cabman's Pool, you can go there and finish. Again, in the western part of the forest, this is just to the west of Lyndhurst, Acres Downs. This is the famous place where everybody goes to see lesser spotted woodpeckers. And Milliford Bridge is another place that's good for lesser spotted woodpeckers. I'll show you both of those on the map. So this is Acres Down. It's the best place to see goshawks in the spring. You can see, well, you can't see 360 degrees, but you can probably see something like 260 degrees. Across, you can see the Isle of Wight, and you've got raptors all around you. So it's a great place to go. So you can walk out and sit on the side of the hill and watch what's going on. And as I say, lesser spotted woodpecker. This is the famous tree that everybody goes to. One tree, it's about 300 yards from the car park when you first get there. And you won't be alone. If you go there in February, you'll probably be one of about 20 people standing. They do drum early-ish in the morning. They don't tend to go later in the day. So if you want to hear the spotted woodpecker and see it, probably want to be there round about 7, 8, 9 o'clock. I wouldn't leave it later. You might be hearing about it rather than seeing it. So here's where we're talking about. It's not so easily marked, but if you can just see sort of right of centre there, a car park, and it says Acres Down House. That's the Acres Down car park. Not actually a very big car park, it's only about 20 spaces, if that. And if you want to go for the lesser spotted woodpecker, then if you can see where it says Wick Wood, well, that is just above the word Wick. You can see the path bends round to the right, starts going north. That is where that lesser spotted woodpecker tree is. But what you can do is you can walk from the car park sort of southeast over to where it says Acres Down, and you can sit out on the open hillside there. There'll be woodlarks, hopefully. There are Dartford warblers too. Hawfinches fly over. And then if you can see, there are paths that go south, and there's a couple of car parks along the bottom road, the yellow road there at the bottom, where it says Portuguese Fireplace, and it just says Milliford Bridge. So Milliford Bridge is the other car park, and you could walk between the two if you've got two cars, and it's a great walk. Probably take you 2 hours to do that walk, maybe a bit longer, depending on how fast you go. Rhinefield is a very well-known ornamental drive, just to the north of Brockenhurst, and one of the areas that people go to is the Blackwater Arboretum. It's an extremely beautiful area, really wonderful. Here it is early in the morning before all the tourists crowd in there. This was really well known for being a hawfinch roost back in the day, but I don't think many people see hawfinches that often there now. They're quite difficult to pin down. There are about over 30 hawfinch roosts, and they do move around a bit. But it is a great place to go. So you can see the yellow road going through the middle. The top road is the A35 that comes out of Lyndhurst. But the yellow road, you can just see Arboretum on the left-hand side. So that's the Blackwater Arboretum. You could park there and go in there and have a walk around, or you could walk anywhere around there. And the woodlands are really, really nice. And the Rhinefield House Hotel does nice teas. By the way, quite a lot of car parks in the New Forest now have parking charges. It's not huge, sort of £3 or something like that, but they say they enforce them. Whether they do or not, I don't know. But they're going in to any of the car parks where they have a power supply, so be aware of that. Okay, Beaulieu Road. We're now on the east of the forest. So Beaulieu Road is the road that goes southeast out of Lyndhurst. You'll see that in a minute on an expanded map. And it's got the railway station. So one of the things you could do, you could actually get the train. You have to go via Southampton, and there's not a very frequent service through Beaulieu Road where it stops, but Beauty Road Station is a place you could get out. You could get an early morning train down there through Southampton and just do a whole big walk around the whole area and make sure you know when the train times are going back. And likewise, if you live more down towards Bournemouth, you could get a train up through Beauty Road going in the other way. Right, Pigbush is a place that's nearby. Let me show you also the Drift Pub. I have to say it's not the fastest service and it is quite expensive, but it is a good place to go for a drink. So that's just right by the station. And here's the open area of heathland. You've got Denny Wood in the background, and you've got all the sort of what's called Shatterford Bottom, which is a very wet area. You don't want to go across there, you won't get back. But there are good paths going right across the middle. So here's what I'm talking about. You can see the Beauty Road railway station there, just sort of left of centre. Now, the car park to the left-hand side of the railway station is actually closed at the moment, and it's closed every summer. This is the Shatterford car park. And the reason they close it is they don't want lots and lots of people walking over this area because, of course, it's got breeding waders and it's quite a valuable habitat for adders and things like that. So you can park on the other side. So if you look at the eastern side of the railway line, you can see there it says hotel and the car park. It's not a very big car park. It's probably only about 15 spaces. So what you could do, you could walk out of that car park where it says hotel and go across Yew Tree Heath. That's all very good. Or you can cross over the road and I would go west of the railway line and then just make your way down across where that dotted line is going south to where it says Bishop's Dyke on the edge of the wood. That's then Denny Lodge enclosure. You get a skirt around there and then back into Denny Wood and then back across the heath. The other side is a bit more complicated. Pigbush is a great area. You can see the Pigbush car park. That's on the going down to the bottom right of the map. You can park there and you can walk from there, and that is the good place to see honey buzzards. But unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, they are now working on a lot of the rewilding of that area, and so they have closed off some of the paths. And it's definitely a place not to go off the path. You can get very seriously bogged in and probably have to be rescued. So just be aware, you used to be able to do a nice loop around there, and now you can't. You can't, for example, walk from Pigbush across to Beauty Road Station via the railway line. So that's a very, very wealthy, rich area of bird watching. Ipley and Longdown. Now, this is up in the northeast of the forest. This has changed hugely over the last year or two. This is where Chris Packham lives, actually. So here's the, I mean, what a wonderful place to be. It's pretty wet, so bear in mind you're going to find rivers that we weren't expecting. So have your wellies on, or at least be prepared to walk through a stream. And it is a beautiful area, but a lot of it, which was forest, has been cleared. So if I show you this map, you'll see Longdown enclosure there to the left of centre. That has mostly been cut down now. So that is now being turned into heathland, and quite a lot of Ipley enclosure has also been cut down. And you can see we're not far from Beauty Road. You can see bottom left is where that car park was I suggested. So you could actually, again, if you've got two cars, you could do a walk from Beauty Road Station up to Longdown enclosure. So this is the great thing about the forest. If you've got two cars, you can do a really nice walk. Pignell and Park Hill. Now this is a real good butterfly area. So we're just now just above Brockenhurst. Wonderful woodlands here. Really love this area, and it's great for butterflies like this pearl bordered fritillary, which is only up flying around for 2 or 3 weeks or so, but it's a fabulous one to see, and there are quite a few in there as well. If you look at the map, you've got Brockenhurst at the bottom left. If you can see just above Brockenhurst, it says Barmalawn, and then above that there's a car park sign. So that's the car park you want to head for. You can either park at the western end of that little road, or you can go to the eastern end. I'd go to the eastern end. And then it's quite a complicated network of woods. It's a huge area of woodland, so make sure you've got some sort of a tracking device with you so you can get yourself back to your car. But walking up through Pignal enclosure, um, Ramnor enclosure, Park Hill enclosure, Stubby Copse enclosure, all these places, just work a little route round so you've got an hour or 2 hours walk, and that's a good place to be. There'll be a few redstarts in there, probably goshawk, well, definitely goshawk. Might not see them though. And it's just really good woodland. Holm Hill and Wilverley. So now we are west of Brockenhurst. This is a busy area. Holm Hill's not so busy, but Wilverley Plain is just rammed with people at the weekend. It's like a huge, huge area of grass with more dogs than they have at Crofts. It's an absolute nightmare if you don't like dogs. Here it is. So various places you can park. So if you look at the bottom left, you've got the Wilverley enclosure, which is mainly pine wood. And where just below where it says Wilberley Plain, you can see the car park. Well, that is where all the people are. That is absolutely rammed. Um, don't know why there's a bit called the Naked Man, but we'll move on quickly from that. We've got Duck Hole Bog, and Holm Hill in the middle there. So that little route you can walk through is pretty good. Parts of it are a little bit damp, but again, you've got the opportunity to do a car-to-car walk if you want. So you can see there's about 5 or 6 car parks around there, so you could easily do that and get your way around. Lots of open heath, Dartford warblers, a few woodlarks, certainly in the areas which are not too wet, and actually in the winter is quite a good area sometimes to see hen harriers. And that's what it looks like. It's a very nice area. So it's a mixture of woodland and heath. Now, if you want to know about the New Forest, there are plenty of sources of information. Obviously, there's the New Forest National Park website, but there's also one called New Forest Car Park Walks, and almost every car park that I've mentioned is in that. And you can look at those and then work out a plan. And well, bit of a plug for a couple of books. First of all, Clive Chatter's brought out the book on the left-hand side just last year, Nature of the New Forest. Very interesting book, well illustrated. And, Clive lives in the forest and has been working in it for years. And so he really understands things. Um, and so you've got wild gladioli there in that picture, along with a redstart, and not quite sure what species of bee. And then, well, I just have to mention it, don't I, that there is quite a good book there. I didn't write it originally. It was written in the 80s by some friends of mine, but I edited the most recent edition. So, Where to Watch Birds in Dorset, Hampshire, and the Isle of Wight, and you'll find plenty of information about the New Forest in there, and of course, other sites. And if you do want to buy one, just well, tell Janice, and she can take your details, and I can arrange it. Right. So, how about I stop sharing and I ask you what questions you'd like to ask? Silence. Have my headphones packed up, or are you all being very, very shy?
Is there any way you'd recommend for seeing hawfinches?
Yeah, I think actually this time of the year, hawfinches, you've got a good chance of seeing them over on Acres Down because they're flying from left to right as you're sitting out on the open area. They're quite hard to pin down to see them well. There are places where they do roost. Those roosts are kept pretty secret. Whether they're still in the Rhinefield area, I don't know, but that I've seen them a lot at Acres Down, and they're actually pretty common in the New Forest. We probably have 400 pairs or thereabouts. Susie, hello, Susie. Thank you. That's good. She sent me a message saying she learnt a lot. Uh, who would like to ask the next question? Well, it must have been a good talk if you don't have any questions. Janice,
Sorry,
hello.
I was struggling to unmute.
Ah, that's
Okay,
okay.
so is you've mentioned a couple of areas that might be boggy. Are these actually signposted as, or is it just best to stick to proper paths?
Well, definitely in the New Forest, it's best to stick to paths. We really don't want people going off paths because if you do go off paths, then there's a good chance you're going to be disturbing nesting birds. So please don't do that. Stick to the paths, and it probably won't tell you it's going to be boggy. But I think it's worth. You probably don't need wellies that often, but I've certainly got caught out a couple of times, and I got caught out the other night doing a curlew survey and found a bridge had disappeared and had to walk through a river. So yeah, mind you, that was nighttime, so which made it even worse because I couldn't even see what the hell I was doing. We have 10 minutes left. I'm happy to carry on chatting
Keith, I'm just any tips for sort of red starts, any particular locations?
everywhere. So if you sit in the Cabman's Pool car park, there are red starts just in the wood between Cabman's Pool and the area to the north, where the river goes through. You can certainly hear them very easily if you know the song, and there's a pair that are regularly in the car park, generally at the western end of the car park. There are about 1,000 pairs in the New Forest. It's got to be the densest population anywhere in the UK. What is the current status of tree pipit in summer? Right, so tree pipit, there are plenty of them in the New Forest. I think there probably aren't as many as there used to be, but there's certainly plenty of them, and I heard them last weekend. Great Grey Shrike, this is a really big change from what I remember from 15 years ago. We used to have anything like, well, 5, 6 Great Grey Shrikes every single winter. Last winter we didn't have any. There was a photograph taken on one day by somebody, but I mean, it's just I think, a sign of climate change. These birds are from Scandinavia. They don't need to migrate as far south as they used to in order to find temperatures that are okay for them. So we don't have them, and it's not necessarily a climate, it's not necessarily a population decline, although it could be, but it certainly is that they don't need to come as far south as they used to. Let me see if there's any more, because there are questions in here. Right. What I will do, by the way, we'll put the recording up for a little bit, but what I will do is I will give Janice a copy of a PDF of my talk. So you can literally have those maps and you can see them. Right, anything to look out for in the Ipley Longdown area? That one's new to me. Yeah, so there are quite a lot of woodlarks in there. It's looking like it's going to get quite wet over time, and that will mean they'll have snipe. I don't think they're there at the moment, but they will be moving into that area in Quaritch 4 because they're re-wetting and rewilding the whole thing. It's really fabulous that actually the Forestry England team are doing this. They just do a little bit of each time, so they don't have to go and get planning permission. It's like, for example, just doing a little corner of your garden rather than reinventing the entire garden, and it's great. Okay, where's the best place? Is there a best place to take photographs? Well, there are quite a few places. Denny Wood, for example, the little car park there. So you can park at Denny Wood, but the campsite's closed this summer. They feed the birds there, so you'll have marsh tits, blue tits, great tits coming in quite close. And they also feed the birds at Iworth Pond, which I mentioned as being just to the west of Fritham. And therefore there's quite a lot. And there's a pair of hobbies at Ipley at the moment, says Di. Thank you. I generally don't find the mandarin ducks come that close, actually. They're quite shy. Any good areas for owls and snakes? Um, Gosh, well, snakes, I would say they're probably all over the heath. You don't tend to see them because, that's the whole idea of being a snake, you hide. Owls, all the forest area is full of tawny owls. There are one or two barn owls. You're not going to see them though, but tawny owls are just everywhere. But that's about it really. There's a couple of pairs of little owls on some of the farms. And one of the amazing things about the forest is it's a working forest. It's not just forestry and heathland. There are actually a whole load of farms in there with cattle and so on. So you do get a variety of farmland birds as well. Well, I feel like we've covered almost everything. Oh, is there anywhere you would recommend when bringing very young children? Well, I guess very young children don't want to walk too far, do they? So Wilverley Plain would be a good place because they can run around on the open grass there. If they don't like dogs, don't take them to Wilverley Plain because there's more dogs, as I say, than crufts. And by the way, I'm doing a walk, which you might like to come on. It does require you to get up early. It's a 6:30 in the morning walk on Monday, the 26th of May. I will be leading it with Andy Page of Forestry England, and we will be departing from Wilverley Plain. So you have to be there for 6:30 though. Details of that will be going on the HOS website fairly soon and on Forestry England's website too. Right, if anyone sees something that's suspicious, is there a number to call? There is. There is a Forestry England phone number which I'm told is manned 24 hours a day. When I saw someone flying a drone, it wasn't manned at that point, but at least there is a phone number. And if you look up on the internet and just go Forestry England, New Forest emergency number, you'll find it. There's good bridges at Pigsbush, which kids like. Yes, absolutely. Good. Well, I first went there when I was 14, and I have to say, which is a while back now, I thought it was fantastic, and it hasn't changed much. It's busier, of course. Probably in 1974, there were 1 million people a year, and now it's 15 million people a year. But you really can walk in the New Forest and not see anybody else. So I will share those maps with you, and if there's ever anything you would like to hear about, which you think I could do for you as a group, inspire you to get some ideas to go birding somewhere or whatever, then just ask Janice and I'll very happily put that together, just like I just did with this one. Okay.
I'm going to take this just for a second or two because we're running out of time. Keith, thank you so much for putting this together so quickly and for putting it together just for us. The Ladybirders group is fantastic and we really appreciate your help on this tonight. What I would say to all ladies, please don't go out alone. Take someone that you can walk with so there's always a second person.
Good idea. And it is great to have the Ladybirders group. No other bird club in the UK has anything like this of this size. I'm pleased to say that quite a few have been inspired by what we've done and are setting up similar groups, but nobody has the size of group that we have. So fantastic. Great. Nice to see you. I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'll see you soon.